What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be going through some of the biggest pieces that have helped me end years and years of failed body transformations to finally be on my way to building my dream body. And honestly, at the time of recording, in the best shape of my life. And this is a resource that I think is going to provide you guys with so much damn value. So yeah, as I've got here, this realization ended years of failed body transformations. And if applied, your dream body is 3 to 6 months away. And I know that might seem crazy, but again, depending on where you're at on your journey, sometimes all it takes is that little flick in mindset, in perspective, in finding that motivation, in breaking free of the shackles that have held you back for so long, right? So that's what we're going to explore in this video, because I know for me, it's taken me, again, at time of recording, 8 weeks to go from a version of me that was not overweight, but not in the best shape, not super confident, and had spent years trying to get to a certain level with his body, but never being able to get there, to now 8 weeks later, as I said, being in the best shape of my life. And it's just come about from some minor tweaks that we're going to go through today. So things can happen a lot faster than you might think, than you might realize. And this is something that happens with my clients all the time as well, right? So strap yourself in. I'm excited to get into this one. So I'm starting with a bit of a quote, and it's something I put up on Instagram the other day. And that is that a failed body transformation is nothing more than a warning that you're still living by a false story in your own head that's impacting your actions. Change the story and watch the actions become effortless and the results blow your mind. Okay, so this isn't going to be a video where I talk about how to structure your training split or how to set up your macros, right? I've got other videos on my YouTube channel that walk you through all of that, because that's rarely the problem. I know that was never the problem for me, right? If I go across to this slide, as I said, I've had more body transformation failures than I can even remember, all these different versions of myself. And the one thing that has changed from these guys to who I am now is the story that runs through my head. So if you guys are familiar with me, you'll know that I've lived, well, not anymore, but I did live with body dysmorphia and body image insecurities for the best part of 15 years. And that's basically all these photos that you see were all different iterations. We've got me a lot younger, sort of in high school and my early 20s. Then you've got here, I reckon I was like maybe 21, 22. And then these ones here are more recent, sort of in the last 3 to 4 years. And every different version here, he tried to change his body. He tried to feel confident in his own skin. He tried to love what he saw in the mirror and who he was, but nothing ever seemed to work. And you can see there's varying physiques here, right? I was the skinny guy, then I was the bigger guy, and then I let myself get really sort of overweight and unhealthy in this last slide. But there was this recurring story that I was never going to be able to get into my dream body, that I was never going to be able to get past a certain point, and that I was always going to be the bigger guy with the funny chest that just couldn't change how he wanted to, right? I would compare myself, I would judge myself, I would look up to other people on social media and just wish that I looked differently, right? And again, in some of these photos, specifically these last two, I had a lot of knowledge. I'd done, a lot of study on training, on nutrition. I knew how to get other people in shape, but for some reason there was, something missing within me to stop me from getting in good shape. All right. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through exactly how I've been able to change that. And as I said, at the time of recording, this is my transformation in just 8 weeks, right? And this is the same guy that I've always been. However, my story is now different, right? This one on the left here was me at, I think, 107.2 kilos. I'd just gotten back from Bali. I obviously had a good time because I'd put on a bit of weight. And this is here the other day, I want to say around 99.6 kilos, and arguably in the best shape of my life, but nowhere close to being finished. And as I said, I changed my story so my actions could change. And this is something that I have been coaching people through for a while, right? I've been doing inner work with clients in conjunction with their training nutrition for a good couple of years. But I was never able to put my finger on exactly what it was we were doing with their inner work until relatively recently, where I was like, this is a story thing, right? Because as I've written here, the character in a movie will always do what the script says, right? So actors, actresses get their movie scripts and this is what they've got to do. They then go and play that character who follows the script. So if you've been living with a script, and this is what I did for most of my life until the last couple of years, if you're living with a script that is very based in fear, is based in doubt, is based in I'm not good enough, is based in social comparisons and norms, right? That is what you are then going to be. Your identity is going to be, which is then going to dictate the actions you take, right? So maybe you're someone who emotionally eats, right? Or there's binge eating or whatever it might be. That is there, that is happening, that is the end result of something within here as part of your story that is making you do that for whatever reason. And for a lot of people, that self-sabotage mechanism is just a result of, I don't think I can do this anyway. So here you go, here's a reason why you can't do this. We're going to eat everything in the house, feel sorry for us, have a setback, and we're not going to recover. Right, that's just one example of one of these cycles. So everything you've done up until now, and if I go back to this, everything that these versions of me were doing and were creating and were thinking and were feeling were a result of the story that I was just playing out, right? Very, very unconsciously. A lot of these stories sit within our unconscious mind and we're not aware of them until we're aware of them, right? Until we actually do the work to be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So if you think about all the times you have tried to change, and maybe you have, but you've never been able to maintain it, or you've never been able to see progress like other people can see in you, or whatever it might be, like that is just the end result of that story that you've been living by for so long. And as I said at the start of this video, a failed body transformation isn't anything on you, right? That is just a warning that you're still living by this false story, because why do people's body transformations fail, right? It's either a doubt thing, they don't think they're good enough, they can't be consistent, they can't stay motivated, they might have a setback and they can't get themselves back on track, they might compare so they're never happy, right? None of these things really have anything to do with your training or your nutrition. Wow, why can't I speak? Or your nutrition, but they have everything to do with that narrative in your head that is making you act a certain way. Right? So all the times in the past that I've tried to get to where I am now and where I'm going, I would hit this hurdle where it was basically like, hold on, like where we're going isn't aligned with the story we keep telling ourselves. It doesn't fit with the identity that we have created for so long. So we're going to sabotage ourselves because that's what our ego does. It likes to keep us stuck as we are. All right. So it's just an alarm, right? To be like, hey, you've failed here. But it's because you're still believing this false narrative, this false story about yourself. And that's why you couldn't continue. That's why you couldn't be consistent. That's why you couldn't stick to anything. And this is what I do with my clients. And this is what we're going to be doing in the Proving Ground, which is an 8-week program that I run. I'll speak more on that at the end. But the whole point of that is around, okay, we need to get to the bottom of how you've been creating what you've been creating. Why have you been failing? Why have you been full of doubt, full of fear, unable to change your body like you want to? Cool, this is a story that's been running. Makes sense because this is what you've been doing. You haven't been training, or you eat well until the weekend and then all the wheels fall off, or whatever it might be. You haven't allowed yourself to push towards and reach that physical potential, right? There's a reason for that. Okay, so it's about getting to the bottom of that. And once we can change that narrative, your actions change. You start showing up differently. Like once I change mine, I like get to the weekend, because this is what I used to do. I used to be great Monday to Friday. As soon as I got to the weekend, I'd be like, oh, I've had a good week. My weight's down. A pizza won't hurt, right? And then Sunday I'd be like, oh, my weight was up. I'd feel gross. And then, I'd spar for a couple of days, and it would just be this big yo-yo cycle. But I don't do that anymore, right? For a couple of reasons. But one being my motivation now is too strong, right? I've started to show myself what I am capable of physically, what can happen when I fully commit to myself. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm done. I'm done failing these transformations, right? I'm done suppressing that I really want to see my body, for me, down in the low 90 kilos. So that's what I'm going to prioritize, and I'm going to go after 110%. All right, I changed my story and my results started to change. Okay, now there are 4 components we need to understand to change our story. And these are broad for a reason because, you know, there's often different parts of these that will relate to different people, and everyone's going to have their different roadblocks. But these are the 4 main things, right? So we've got connect first. So you must realize the importance of the journey you're about to go on, right? This is where your motivation should just be unlimited and just super strong and grounded. So for me personally, my motivation is, 1, I want to push my physical potential and see what I am capable of, because I've never done that before, right? I want to see who I become on this journey. What kind of man can I become? How will my business react to me going all in and committing like this? How will my relationship get better by improving the body confidence that I have? How will I show up better in my relationship? And the big ones for me is, what example am I going to set when I have my children, right? When I'm a husband, these things in the future, right? I have to connect to why this is so important. And the other one for me is, I want to practice what I preach. So I can do these videos and I can actually speak from a place of, I have done this. I have been where you have been. I've failed all these times before, but that doesn't matter, because look what I'm doing now because of what I've done up here and the story that I've been able to change, right? So I do a lot of work with people, and we're doing this in the Proving Ground, where we actually connect, right, to our outcome as the first part to changing our story. The next part is, we've got to let go of everything that's happened until this point. And this is such a big one for people. You're living in this place where you keep reminiscing on the past. Your thoughts are in the past. Your language are, I failed in the past, right? Everything's what's happened to me. It's what I've done. It's what I haven't been able to do. And because you can't transcend that and overcome those thoughts, that's what you continue to create, right? You get to week 4 of your body transformation and, oh, what happened last time? That's right. This is where I usually fall off and fail. Oh, sweet. Yep, I've done that again. Awesome. I proved myself right. My ego's happy because I'm not changing, and I'm back to exactly where I am, right? Another failed transformation. All right. So we do some things around actually letting go of that and understanding that from this moment right here, everything that has happened before is actually completely irrelevant if you choose it to be, right? Every moment, every new moment is completely independent of the one before. However, people think that everything leading up into this must affect this one moment. It's like, no, right? If I had lived like that, do you think I would be able to have the physical transformation I'm currently undergoing? No, because I'd be too worried about what I did before and that I couldn't do it and then I wasn't good enough and blah, 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 right? We need to let go of what has happened. It's all good. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what we do now, right? So letting go is crucial. We then have to rebuild a new foundation. This is where we start to look into things like how our brain works, how we create our reality, our language, our belief systems, our values, our the things we assume, our assumptions, right? All of these different pieces, we need to start being like, okay, we've got a clean slate. What do we want these to be now, right? What do we want our beliefs to be? If we could choose from scratch, which you can. Right? How do we want to talk to ourselves? How do we want to talk about our journey and where we're going and what we're talking into existence here? How do we want to show up? Right? We need to rebuild this foundation. And this is where training and nutrition comes in, right? It's like, how do I want to look after my body? Am I going to now prioritize my health, prioritize my physical appearance, and actually make an effort to show myself what I personally believe is the highest form of self-love, which is optimizing your body and your health always. Right? I'm not into, if you follow me, you know this, I don't buy into body positivity. I don't buy into just accepting us how we are. I think that's it's a poor way to live, honestly, but it's really popular and common these days. Because for me, and I'll go into this in a sec, I can love myself, be worthy, regardless of my body, but I can love myself enough to want to change it and want to be the best possible version of me that I can. Right? So if you're happy to sitting in body positivity and reciting affirmations in the mirror, not actually doing anything, then I'm definitely not your guy. Turn this off. Like we're definitely not going to get along. But if you're someone that's like, yeah, I want to feel worthy as I am, but I just want more for myself. I want to see what I can do. I want to see what my physical potential is, where I can get this body if I fully committed. Right? And sometimes it's the allowance of that to actually fully commit that is the game changer for people. Because our world tells us to just accept who we are. Just, it's okay. You don't need the body. You're not going to be happier just because you lose weight. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, that's said from people who don't have the guts to do this and to actually commit to themselves like this, because they have so much self-doubt that they have to then project that onto you, right? To make you question yourself, to make you do the same thing as them, to justify their decisions, right? Let that sink in. That's all the people that preach this stuff are all the ones doing absolutely nothing to better themselves. All right, so we've got to rise above that and rebuild this foundation. And then the last part is, okay, cool. Now let's go and make shit happen, right? Let's go dial in and take relentless committed action on what I say I want. Excuse me. It's all well and good to speak, right? And this is my big thing with inner work. Like, doing the inner work is fantastic. Obviously, that's what this video is mostly about. But if that inner work doesn't translate into action, right, into you being like, yep, this is the line in the sand. I'm done living like this. I'm done being in this body. I'm done failing. Now I'm going to take massive action. And I understand there's going to be points where I want to give up. There's going to be setbacks, right? But I want this too bad. I'm going to keep taking action. Like, I've had like a death in the family, right? My grandpa passed away a couple of weeks ago, and it would be easy to let that ruin everything. And that might sound really harsh. It definitely didn't come out the way that I meant it to come out. But we don't have to stop our lives for every little setback, right? So for me to navigate that, like, I spent my couple of days grieving and doing what I need to do and spending time with the family, and I ate out, I had a beer, I went off track with my food for a couple of days, and I gave myself that time and space. But then once I was starting to, move through that and wanting to get back into my training and nutrition, because for me, as I said, looking after myself is something I love to do. It's my form of self-love, and that was going to help me get through that tricky period, right? So we need to understand that things are going to happen to us, but we need to come back to that foundation and be like, okay, what am I working on? Make sure that story doesn't then go back to what it used to be, because that's what happens a lot. People start to change. It starts to get a bit scary. And then their ego jumps in and gives them reasons to go back to who they used to be, because it's safer, it's more comfortable, and you know it, right? This is why so many people fall off track, because they know who they were 10 kilos heavier, right? They know what happened when they didn't have body confidence, right? There's safety and comfort in that. So we need to understand, and this is where all of this work comes in, that we need to be able to move through that, okay? And you do that, you will start to see changes, right? And then these are some other pieces I'd recommend that have helped me massively, and I know these have helped my clients massively. So the first is just owning your surface level desires. So if you want your dream body, don't let anyone demonize you or tell you it's egotistical or shallow for you to say, yeah, I want a bigger ass. I want big delts. I want to see veins in my arm. I want a six pack. I want a small waist. I want a flat stomach, right? Own those desires. Again, our world tells us to not do that, because we should just accept who we are. We're perfect as we are. It's like, no, I just want big arms because I want big arms. I don't need to have a reason for it. I just do, right? I want to see my legs all veiny and lean, because that's a reflection of the commitment and the work I've done, right? I don't need a reason for that. I just want that. If we don't own these desires, right, we create conflict, right? It's like in Harry Potter. We've got Harry over here, Voldemort over here. You know, when they fight each other and their spells collide and there's really no winner, right? We've got this conflict here. It's the same thing, right? We've got our surface level desires over here, and then we've got our society, right? Our surface level desires, we're like, yeah, I really want this. I want to look this way. I want to bring this body part up. But then our society makes us feel guilty for wanting this, and we get this conflict internally, right? It's like, I feel guilty for wanting this. Is this egotistical? Does this make me a bad person? It's like, no, like, get that out of your head. Own the body that you want, no matter how shallow it is. No matter if it looks like someone else's that that you like, that you look up to, that is fine. And it's more detrimental to you to push those surface level desires down. Trust me. The next one, body neutrality. It's greater than body positivity. Okay. I think body positivity is a great way to hide from the work you are too scared to do, by telling yourself you love your body and you're confident in your body, when deep down, if you're hooked up to a lie detector, you would fail. You would fail. Right? I love body neutrality, and that is sort of what I mentioned earlier. where I can detach my worth from my physical vessel, right? So when I was 107 kilos, the photo I had up earlier, my worth was great. I knew I was a worthy person. I knew I was a good man. I knew I had self-esteem. I didn't let how I looked really bother me too much. All those things can be true. But I looked in the mirror and I was like, all right, bro, like you've let yourself go. Let's dial in, right? We want to look better than this, because this isn't an accurate representation of the love we have for ourselves and the standard we want to have in terms of our health first and foremost, let alone our appearance, our confidence, all these kind of things, right? So if you can get to that body neutral place, then everything else is going to feel a lot better, because you've got that foundation of worthiness, but you're also like, I owe it to myself to really see how good I can get, how much I can love my body, what I can do. All right. Whereas body positivity, again, we're just hiding behind affirmations. And I just think it's actually quite toxic. That leads me into the next one, which is seeing is greater than convincing. If you have to convince yourself you're happy, if you have to fake it till you make it with your body and your confidence, like that to me is a red flag. And of course, there's going to be that kind of in between where you are taking a lot of action and your body doesn't quite reflect what you would like it to yet. And I think that is the space to be body positive and to continue to talk to yourself in a really positive way to keep, taking the actions, because that's where we start to change our story. But if you're sitting there not doing anything about your situation, you're not owning where you're at, and you're trying to convince yourself that you're happy, right? Because body positivity, that is not going to end well. For me and my clients, I'm like, cool, I want to see physical evidence that I do love my body, that I am confident. I call it automatic body confidence. I want to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, like I feel good today. Like when I take those photos in the mirror at the gym, when I post them, instantly it's like, yeah, I feel so great. I'm really proud of myself for making this progress and for looking this way, because I've said I've wanted something and I've gone out and made it happen, right? So get that in your head. Stop trying to convince yourself. Go out and actually prove it to yourself. And not everything has to be balanced. This is something I've owned, that I used to preach that we always had to be in balance. But if you're going to achieve your dream body, your dream physique, and push your physical potential and more importantly, become a better, higher version of yourself, there's going to be some imbalance, right? Not everything has to be sustainable. I'm a big believer in the mindset we cultivate is what is going to create that sustainability, but that's a whole nother conversation. Right? But right now, what I'm doing, and for you to achieve your dream body, you're going to have to go through some phases where things aren't balanced. Like right now, I'm eating 2,100 calories. I'm not going out to eat. I'm doing a lot of cardio. My days are, revolve around my body and training and eating. And do I want to do that forever? Absolutely not. Right? But in this current phase, in this current season, that is my priority. And I know I'm going to be fine when I get to the end of this. I come out of my diet and I get back to my balance, and then that's going to be the time for that. All right, so get it out of your head that everything has to be balanced, right? And that's fine if you just want to maintain your physique and whatever. Again, there's a time for that. But if you're someone that wants to really push things and see what you're capable of, the pendulum's going to have to swing, priority-wise is going to have to swing to your body, to your health, and what you need to do to become a better person. Right? And some people won't like that, and that's fine. They might just not understand. So surround yourself with people like is going to be in the proving ground. We're going to have a whole community of people doing this same thing. Get yourself around those kind of people, those like-minded people, where you can be out of balance for a little while because you're all trying to get better. Right? And that's one of the biggest thing that's changed in my mind in terms of my story and how I now live is like, I accept that I'm not in balance and I'm cool with that. Right? It's so freeing to just allow yourself to be like really full on in one area of your life, because there's so many other benefits, right? As I mentioned. Now, last piece here, before I speak to you guys about the proving ground a little bit, is this is basically the hierarchy that I personally believe is needed to stop failing body transformations, to change your mindset and your story, and to build your body and then build your life, your relationships, business, whatever it might be. Okay, so this is basically a summary of this video. So the inner foundation, are you the person who is capable of executing what you need to do? Right? This is basically, Are you someone that lives with a really negative story, that is full of doubt, that constantly self-sabotages, that talks down to themselves, that can't stick to anything, that beats themselves up and is a full victim? That person, I don't care how good your program is, how good your nutrition is, you're not going to be able to stick to it. Full stop. End of story. So a lot of the work I do with people, I've done on myself, we're going to do in the Proving Ground, is giving you that inner foundation to change your story so you can be the person to execute things. Like I said, my training hasn't changed. Setting my calories and the food I eat hasn't changed. What's changed is my ability to execute it consistently to create the results, right? That is what it comes down to. The second is the reason. So the motivation that's going to trump any setback or challenge. So as I've just said, when you have the inevitable setback, when things come up, is the reason you're doing this, is that outcome you are seeking, that person you are wanting to become, is that stronger than the desire and the chatter of your ego to fall off and go back to your old self, right? If it's not, again, game over. If you have a setback, your ego wins and you fall back into old habits, game over, right? Whereas for me, as I said, my reasons for doing this are so much stronger and more important than me throwing in the towel, sitting on the couch, eating everything in the house, feeling sorry for myself. It's like, this is just not even an option, right? And we build that trust within ourselves by continuously thinking about that outcome and working towards it. And we create this confidence that it's like, it's just a matter of time before I achieve X, Y, Z. Like for me, it's a matter of time before I get down to the low 90s. And depends when you watch this, I might have already done it, right? And if I have, you would have seen it on socials, right? It's a matter of time. And it is so great to live with that certainty and that trust within yourself that is built through changing your story. So you, the character, follows that to a T. Right. We then come to the strategy. This is where the training and nutrition part is important, obviously, right? That is still so important, right? You need to have a program that works for you that you can go in and execute. You need to have a nutrition strategy where your calories are right. So it's actually bringing about the result you want. You need to be eating for health, prioritizing that, not filling your diet with rubbish, not eating all this processed crap, and your nutrition is where it needs to be, right? First and foremost. And then your cardio, your steps, these other things to actually, make the actions that you're taking lead you to that body. All right. That's obviously important. Again, that's something else I do and something within the Proving Ground you get on top of everything else we do. And then overarchingly, just patience and introspection. Patience. Some of it's going to take some time, right? But like I said at the start of this video, when you apply all these things, you can be in your dream body in 3 to 6 months. Like I'm going to be in mine probably just under 3 months, right? I'm going to keep going, right? But in terms of that, I'll be in the best shape I've ever been in less than 3 months from making these changes, right? Maybe you've got a bit more weight to lose, or maybe there's some more work you need to do. That's cool. 6 months, I promise you, you will be there or on your way and just a completely different person. Like I've just wrapped up with a one-on-one mentoring client. I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning this, but we were together for 16 weeks. And she has completely altered everything. She's changed her story. She's removed the guilt that she lived with for wanting to be smaller, right? She was pushing away her surface level desires. She was self-sabotaging. She was never able to get past a certain point. She's completely obliterated all that within 4 months. And now she is dialing in to her training, to her nutrition, and purely focused on that weight loss, right? And she'll be, she'll look like a different person in the next 2 months, which gives us that 6-month timeline, right? And hers was, maybe a slightly longer one than some of you need, right? But she's living proof. I'm living proof. This can happen within 6 months if you commit to it. And if you stop living by that story that has been ruling your life for so damn long. All right, guys. So that is the video. If you've had enough value and you've gotten what you need out of this, then by all means, finish watching here because I'm going to talk a little bit about the Proving Ground. If you've enjoyed the video, chuck us a like, leave us a comment. We'd really, really appreciate it. But for those of you that actually want to take action on this, you're like, okay, Tom, cool. I hear you. This makes a lot of sense. I have been living by a really negative story. I always seem to fail my body transformations. I can never build that body that I crave deep down. Then this is where you need to be, guys. This is where you need to be. This is basically, I'm still going to be coaching one-on-one, but this right here is going to be everything I do as a coach. And our goals are simple, as I've got written down here. Like it is really simple. Right? Ending years of failed body transformations to help you build your dream body and mindset. right? And that starts with initially changing that story. I'm going to walk you through that whole 4-step process to help you do that. So you just see yourself differently. You got a new perspective. You're showing up better. And I promise you, your life will start to reflect that. You're going to get the strategy. So you're going to get the training program and the nutrition, calories and macros to actually achieve your desired outcome. And that's all going to be personalized to you, right? So you're going to get that. You're going to get the community of like-minded people that are doing this with you. They're in the trenches with you, right? It's called the proving ground. It's where you come to prove to yourself that you're done living this old life. You're done being controlled by this story, by this body. And you're here in battle with these other guys and girls to prove to yourself what is possible in the 8 weeks of this, right? In the 2 months of this program. But then you have all the tools to continue on. Like, I will give you all the tools to continue on in that 3 to 6 month period and completely change your body and completely change your life. Right, guys, we're going to be doing a live call a week. So like this, where I have content to take you guys through. It is what has worked wonders for countless individuals, right? And I've just made it even better. So every week we're jumping onto Zoom. You're in there with everyone. You can ask questions. We can have discussion. And I'm teaching you live in the group once a week for the 8 weeks. You're getting your program, your nutrition. I'm going to get some guest speakers in there. And you're going to get everything you need to end these years of fad body transformations and get into that dream body, dream physique that you crave. I promise you there is nothing like this out there. There is nothing in the fitness industry that combines all of these things like I do, and I will die on that hill. So if it's something you are interested in, down below is a link to the waitlist, right? So depending when you're watching this, it'll either be a link to the waitlist or it'll be a link to the sales page, the landing page with all the information, costs, and all that stuff for you to sign up straight away. So either way, it'll be the top link in the description. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, guys, if you're still here, right? If you're still here at the end of this video, this is where you need to be. This is going to be the best 8 weeks that, this is going to be the most impactful 8 weeks of your transformation journey so far. I can guarantee it. All right. So get yourself there, get yourself on the wait list. Any questions, let me know. As I said, chuck this video a like, subscribe if you haven't. Check out my channel for some other videos that can be really helpful for you. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one.